Hey folks, welcome in. If this is your first time joining us, go ahead and subscribe. It really helps bring more stories like this to life. Drop a comment telling me where you're tuning in from. Now, lean back, relax, and let the nightmare unfold.
I used to think night shift at a hospital was the safest place to be during any kind of emergency. Bright lights, locked doors, trained staff, security on every floor. Looking back now, I realize it was the worst place to be when the infection reached our city. My name is Erin Haverson, nursing assistant at Mercy Hill Medical Center. I'd worked the night shift for 2 years. I'd seen heart attacks, strokes, drunks, fights, overdoses. All the chaos that comes after midnight. But nothing prepared me for what happened in Curtain 6. It started on a Tuesday night. The kind of night where the halls felt hollow, like sound didn't want to echo anymore. Flu season had already packed the ER to the walls, so we were running triage overflow into the hallways. I was bouncing between rooms, checking vitals, changing IVs, trying to smile at people who were too sick or too scared to smile back. At around 2 a.m, the ambulance bay doors opened, and a pair of EMTs rolled in a new patient. Older man, maybe late 60s. His chart said Robert Lennox. They said he'd collapsed at home, unresponsive, shallow breathing, possible stroke. But the first EMT, a woman with a ponytail sticking out under her cap, pulled me aside and whispered, "Be careful with him." He kept moving. I thought she meant tremors. "Not tremors," she said. "More pushing." Like he was trying to get up even though he wasn't conscious. I shrugged it off. People in shock thrash sometimes. It wasn't new. We wheeled him into a room that wasn't really a room. Just a bed behind a thick blue curtain with the number 6 clipped to the rail above it. Curtain 6. His face had a strange gray tone, like clay. His breathing was ragged and fast, little wet, rasping sounds between each inhale. And there was a bandage on his forearm. The EMT told me they'd found him on the kitchen floor, and something had taken a chunk out of his arm. I thought maybe a dog, or he'd fallen onto something sharp. People panic and assume the worst. The doctor on call, Dr. Mahler, ordered a full workup. Blood, scans, oxygen. We hooked him to monitors that showed a heart rhythm so weak it looked like static. His oxygen saturation kept dropping no matter how much we increased the flow. But the weirdest part was his muscles. Every few minutes, his shoulders would jerk forward. His fingers curled like he was trying to grip something. Once, his head turned slightly toward the sound of one of the nurses walking past the bed. But he never woke up, not fully. Around 3:30, the hospital got a call from the county health department. They wanted information on any patients with unexplained fever spikes or aggressive neurological symptoms. I didn't think much of it. Flu season, right? Then the news alerts started pinging phones. Something happening in 2 cities over. People collapsing, then getting up and attacking paramedics. Videos blurry and shaky, but the sound was unmistakable, screaming, crashing, someone yelling to aim for the head. We weren't calling it an outbreak yet. Nobody wanted to use that word. By 4, the ER was full. Security was turning people away. And in the middle of it all, behind curtain 6, the patient's heart stopped. The monitor screamed its flatline alarm. I rushed in with the crash cart while Dr. Mahler started compressions. We shocked him twice, then 3 times. No response. After 8 minutes, the doctor called the time of death. We disconnected the monitors. I shut off the oxygen. I pulled the sheet up to his shoulders. He looked peaceful, in a way, like whatever he'd been fighting finally let him go. We stepped out to fill the paperwork, leaving him behind the curtain. Maybe 5 minutes passed. That's when I heard it, a soft shuffle. Then the metal rattle of the IV stand bumping against the frame. At first, I thought it was the AC kicking the curtain, or one of the nurses brushing by. But then I heard it again. Movement from inside. I walked back, my stomach tightening with each step. The curtain swayed gently, like someone had brushed past it from the inside. I told myself I was being dramatic. I'd seen corpses twitch from leftover nerve firing. I'd seen death many times, but this was different, too coordinated, too smooth. I grasped the curtain edge and pulled it back. The bed was empty. I froze. The sheet lay crumpled on the floor. The heart monitor cords dangled over the side. His hospital bracelet lay on the pillow like he'd torn it off. And the body that had been lying there moments ago, was gone. I stepped backward instinctively. My eyes darted around the area. Nothing. No sign of him. Did someone move Mr. Lennox? I asked the nearest nurse. She frowned. Why would anyone move him? We don't have anywhere to put bodies right now. My mouth went dry. I didn't know what to say. He's not there. She didn't believe me until she saw it herself. Then her face drained of color. Security was called. The supervisor barked orders to check corridors, bathrooms, storage rooms. I followed one of the officers, trying to justify it. Maybe he wasn't dead. Maybe we'd misread the monitor. Maybe. But I saw that heart stop. I saw the flatline. I saw the time of death called. There was no mistake. We searched the nearby rooms, and that's when I noticed something that made my skin crawl. Drops of blood. Not much. Just tiny, dark smudges on the floor, spaced out in a trail. They led down the hallway toward the older, quiet wing. Rooms we barely used anymore. Security followed the trail. I followed behind them, even though every instinct screamed to go the other way. The hallway was dark, except for a flickering light halfway down. The kind of light that buzzes loudly and makes everything feel colder. The trail ended at a closed patient room door. Room 214. The officer tried the handle. Locked. Anybody in there, he called. No answer. He knocked harder. Hello, hospital security. Still nothing. We could hear movement inside. Slow footsteps, like someone dragging their feet. The officer stepped back and keyed his radio. We've got the missing patient. He's locked himself in 214. I leaned close to the door, listening, breathing, heavy, uneven. Then something thudded against the door from inside. We all jumped. The radio crackled with an order to wait for backup. But another sound came from inside. A low moan. Not pain, not fear, something different. Something hungry. The officer didn't wait for backup. He swiped the emergency override card. The moment the lock clicked, something slammed against the door so hard it burst outward. The officer stumbled back, almost falling. In the doorway stood Mr. Lennox. His eyes were open now, too wide. The whites were veined and yellow. His skin hung loose, like it was melting. His mouth was smeared with blood that didn't look like his own. I recognized the bite on his forearm, but the skin around it was black, pulpy, spreading like mold. He stared at us with something I can only describe as absence. Like the man who had lived in that body was long gone, and something else had moved in. When he lunged, it didn't look like a man moving. It was too fast, too snapping, like a puppet jerked violently on invisible strings. The officer fired. Not a kill shot, they're trained not to. 2 shots to the torso. Lennox staggered, but didn't stop. I grabbed the officer's sleeve, yanking him backward as Lennox lunged again. More security rushed down the hall. Someone finally aimed higher. 1 shot cracked the air, hitting him above the left eye. His body collapsed instantly, limbs slack. I felt my legs trembling. My hands shaking so badly, I had to clasp them together. Before anyone could process it, an overhead announcement blared through the speakers. All staff, lock down your units immediately. Code black. Repeat, code black. Hospitals use code black for bomb threats. But we weren't dealing with a bomb. Whatever this was, it was already inside. Within minutes, more screams erupted from the ER. A security guard ran by us, shouting something about a patient biting a nurse. Another called for help restraining someone who should have been sedated. I backed against the wall, trying to steady my breath. That's when my radio lit up. Aaron, are you near the East Wing? It was Jenna, one of the nurses. I'm close, I said. There's someone in curtain 5. He's hurting the staff. We need help. Curtain 5. That was right next to curtain 6. I didn't want to go back. Every instinct rebelled. But people scream your name in a hospital, you go. That's how we're wired. By the time I got to the ER, the place looked like a storm had torn through. IV stands knocked over. Chairs overturned. A gurney on its side with blood smeared across the metal frame. Patients in beds begging for answers. People crying, calling for help. It was chaos. Curtain 5 was half open. Someone inside was thrashing, hitting the curtain railing so hard it rattled. A nurse was pinned against the wall, her arm caught in a man's grip. She screamed, tears streaming down her face. I didn't think. I grabbed a portable oxygen tank and slammed it into the man's shoulder. He whipped around. His eyes were the same as Lennox's, empty, blackening veins spreading up his neck. He lunged. I swung again, catching him in the jaw. He stumbled backward long enough for another nurse to grab the injured woman and pull her free. Security rushed in seconds later, tackling him to the floor. But even pinned, he bucked violently, teeth snapping at the air. Someone shouted, "We need restraints." Another yelled, "He's turning, he's turning." Turning into what? No one said. We all knew. I stepped back, shaking, trying to catch my breath. The injured nurse collapsed into my arms, sobbing. Her sleeve was torn. Blood seeped from a wound on her forearm. A bite. I felt my stomach drop. The same kind of bite that started all of this. Around us, code alarms blared. More screams erupted. A doctor shouted for everyone to fall back from the bay doors. Someone had broken through the ambulance entrance. More infected were inside now. Staff, patients, families, anyone who had been bitten or scratched. It was spreading faster than anything I could imagine. I dragged the injured nurse behind a supply cart, trying to bandage her arm. She kept shaking her head, whispering, "I don't feel right. Aaron, I don't feel right." Her breath turned ragged. Her skin grew cold. Her pupils dilated until they swallowed the color of her eyes. And then she grabbed my wrist. Hard. Her strength didn't make sense. She pulled me so close I could smell the metallic tang of blood on her breath. Her jaw clenched. I saw her teeth tightening. She was fighting something. I could see the terror flicking behind her eyes, but whatever was inside her was stronger. Her lips pulled back. She snarled. I jerked my arm away, just as security wrestled her down. I ran. I don't even remember which direction, just away. Away from the screams, the alarms, the snapping teeth. I ducked into a medication room and slammed the door behind me, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might bruise my ribs. I slid to the floor, covering my mouth to keep any sound from escaping. Through the crack beneath the door, I saw shadows moving, feet shuffling erratically, someone dragging something heavy along the tiles. At one point, a figure stopped directly outside my door. Its breathing was slow and wet, like it was sniffing the air. I pressed myself against the cabinet, closing my eyes tight. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. I couldn't tell. Eventually, the shadows moved on. I forced myself up and cracked the door open. The hallway was almost silent now. Too silent. Bodies lay on the floor, some dead, some twitching. The lights flickered overhead. But the worst thing wasn't the bodies. It was curtain 6. The curtain was moving. Just barely. Slow, gentle. like someone was brushing against it from the inside. I stared at it, unable to breathe. The patient inside, the one who had originally been in curtain 5, had been brought there after security subdued him. They wanted him isolated, sedated, contained. But I knew what sedation meant now. Nothing. These things didn't respond to drugs. The curtain swayed again. I saw a shadow against the fabric, a human shape, standing, still, watching. I stepped backward, my shoes slipping in something wet on the floor. The shape shifted, turning toward me, and then the curtain began to part. Slowly, deliberately. I didn't wait to see the face. I turned and ran, out through the staff exit, out into the freezing night air, out of the building that had become a feeding ground. I didn't stop until I reached my car. I locked the doors, hands shaking as I tried to put the keys in. I looked back at the hospital entrance. Curtains rippled behind the glass doors. Dozens, maybe more. I drove away before I could see who or what would push through those doors next. I've been hiding ever since, listening to the distant sirens, watching people run in the streets, trying to forget the patient behind curtain 6. Because the truth is, he wasn't the first. And after what I saw when that curtain opened, I know he won't be the last.
Thanks for listening all the way through. If this story left you wanting more, hit like and subscribe to keep these nightmares coming. Until next time, take care.